Hello class, my name is Marlon Daito, and I'm here to summarize the different types of assessments and the different scales of measurement for the for these 20 pages. So the first type of assessment I want to talk about is a standard reference test, and this is a variation of the criterion reference test, and this helps teachers identify the skills that matter the most, and it helps evaluate the students' work fairly. It can give feedback to students that are helpful, and the standard assessments are supposed to cover the important knowledge and the skills that students should learn, and it should be well written and reasonable. And they have performance standards that define how much they should know to reach the basic, proficient, or advanced level in the subject area. And that's the standard reference test. And the next one is called the ecological assessment. The ecological assessment involves observing and assessing a child in the environments where they routinely operate. The purpose of the assessment is to probe how the different environments influence the student in school performance. And some of the important questions to ask when doing an ecological assessment includes: which environments does the student manifest difficulties? Are there instances in which they appear to function appropriately? And what are the greatest differences between the environments in which the student shows the greatest and least difficulty? And what implications do these differences have for instructional planning? Next is the curriculum-based assessment. This assessment is based on the curriculum that a child is mastering. It's the curriculum materials for the grade level of the child that they're in. This type of assessment is useful because it can monitor the child's progress frequently. It can be closely aligned to the performance standards. It can be sensitive to cultural and linguistic diversity, and it links curriculum and instruction. It can be administered frequently, and it's sensitive to short-term academic gains. This is an evaluation process that uses academic content selected from the material taught. And the next is curriculum-based assessment. The CBM is an assessment that involves timing tasks and then charting the performance. The main concern is fluency, and it's also looking at a rate at which a student is able to perform a given task. Each child is tasked briefly each week. The task can take up to 5 minutes. The teacher counts the number of correct and incorrect responses. For example, in reading, the child may be asked to read aloud for 1 minute, and each child's scores are recorded on a graph and compared to the expected age level and grade level performance on the content of that year. And let's go to dynamic assessment. This refers to the different approaches to evaluating student learning. The main characteristics of dynamic assessment is the inclusion of interaction between the examiner and the student. It is a procedure for assessing and promoting the development that takes account of an individual zone of proximal development. The ZPD shows what students can do with assistance from others, but it can also indicate what they can do independently in the future. And it does not make predictions about the future based on past development, but it does seek to gain insights into what individuals achieve in the future with support from interaction with others. The goal is to determine what students can do and would help. Next is the portfolio assessment. This is another type of assessment where the teacher is collecting the works that are associated with the standard students and is required to learn. It's gathered over long periods of time, and each piece of the portfolio is required to be an authentic reflection of what the students have learned. Examples of portfolios is working portfolio. The teacher, student, and parents can contribute to this, and it works in progress and final product pieces are included. It's called showcase portfolio. The portfolio shows the student's best work and does not include works in progress. And the teacher portfolio, this includes student test papers and work samples maintained by the teacher, and it includes work not selected by the student for inclusion in the showcase portfolio. Let's talk about authentic assessments. This is a form of assessment in which students are asked to perform real-world tasks that demonstrate meaningful application of essential knowledge and skills. For example, an individual is being assessed in the area of artistic ability. They present the artwork, and it's evaluated according to the various criteria. It has a variety of assessment techniques that share the following characteristics. It's a direct measurement of skills that relate to long-term educational outcomes such as success in the workplace. And yeah. Task analysis, this is very detailed. This includes breaking down tasks into sequential steps, component parts, or skills necessary to accomplish the task. Sometimes we forget that some of the tasks need to be broken down in chunks. Sometimes we expect our students to be able to figure out steps involving completing a task. In a classroom where students have processing disorders, it's necessary to take the time to express the different parts of a task until the student has mastered each one. Outcome-based assessment, it has been developed to respond to concerns that education must be directly related to what educators and parents want the child to have gained in the end. It involves considering teaching, evaluating skills that are important in real-life situations, and this will result in the student becoming an effective adult. It starts in identifying what outcomes are desired for the student, like being able to use public transportation. The team determines what is necessary for the outcomes to take place, and it identifies which sub-skills the students has mastered and the skills that they still need to learn. Learning style assessment. This theory suggests that students may learn and problem solve in different ways. Some ways are more natural for them than others. Some of the common elements include the way materials are being presented, whether it's visually, auditorily, or tactically. The environment condition of the classroom counts. Is it hot, cold, noisy, light, or dark? The child's personality's characteristics, the expectations for the success that the child and others hold, and the response that the child receives while engaging in the learning process. Do they like praise or criticism? And these are the testing accommodations that we can offer the child. Some of these include the need to select appropriate test instruments, select the test content that measures learning goals, and interpret the test results carefully and ensure that you have realistic ideas of test limitations. And we can select appropriate instruments too. Now we're going to get into the scales of measurement. The way data can be expressed in the assessment often depends on the type of score one receives. In descriptive statistics, there are 4 scales of measurement that can be used to explain data, and these are nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So for nominal scale, it is categorical. It assigns observations into various independent categories and counts the frequency of occurrence within each of the categories. For example, 1 freshman, 2 sophomore, 3 junior, and 4 senior. Even though we're using the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, they do not denote quantity. Another example is the number on football jerseys. A person who wears number 20 is not 2 times better than the person who wears 10. Other examples of nominal data includes telephone numbers, social security numbers, and species of birds. Now, the ordinal scale of measurement involves the rank order system. It is a scale in which scores indicate only relative amounts of rank order. And for example, to discuss a horse race and say first place, second place, and third place, we are using ordinal data. They tell us the rank, but they do not tell us the distance between each subject. And another example of that is in schools, class rank is an example. Now, interval data, it's a measurement that equals in differences in scores. It represents equal differences in the amount of the property measured, but with an arbitrary 0 point. Some of these examples include the Fahrenheit temperature. A temperature of 40 degrees is not twice as hot as 20 degrees. Also, 0 degrees does not mean no temperature. And an IQ score too. A student with an IQ of 100 is not twice as smart as someone with an IQ of 50. Now let's talk about ratio. A ratio scale of measurement has all the properties of an interval scale with the additional property of 0, indicating a total absence of the quality being measured. For example, distance. The distance 15 feet is 3 times more than 5 feet. Or we could talk about duration. The duration 20 minutes is twice as long as 10 minutes. Or weight. A 300-pound man is 6 times heavier than a 50-pound boy. Now let's talk about mean. The calculation of the mean, we add up the scores. For example, you add 8 plus 10 plus 8 plus 14 plus 40 equals 80. Then we count the number of units of distribution. In this case, there's 5 of them. We take the total score in the first step and divide the number of units calculated in the second step, which is 80 divided by 5 equals 16. So the mean is 16. Now, median, the calculation, the median is the rank order of the data from least to greatest. You simply list down the scores from smallest number to the largest, which is 8, 8, 10, 14, 40, for example. Now we cross off the lowest score, which is 8, then the high score, 40. Repeat the step until there's only one number left. In our example, you would next cross off the 8, then the 14. This leaves 10 as the middle number, so the median is 10. Now let's talk about mode. The mode is the most frequently occurring score in the distribution. For example, in the distribution 8, 10, 14, and 40, the mode, what is the mode? The answer is 8. The number 8 occurs twice, where all the numbers only occur once. Now let's talk about range. The range of a distribution is the difference between the high score and the low score in the distribution. Range equals high score, low score. For example, if we have a distribution of 8, 10, 8, 14, and 40, what is the range? Now, to calculate the range, we got to find the high score and the low score in the distribution, which is 40 and 8. Subtract the low score from the high score, which is 40 minus 8 equals 32, and the range should be 32. Now, for the variance, in order to get a better idea for the spread of the scores within the distribution, it is necessary to calculate the variance. The variance is a statistical concept that tells you the spread of scores within the distribution. The variance is an important concept to understand because it is necessary in the calculation of the standard deviation and the analysis of data in the normal curve. Now, the final one is normal curve. A normal distribution is an arrangement of a data set in which most values cluster in the middle of the range and the rest taper off symmetrically toward either extreme. A graphical representation of a normal distribution is sometimes called a normal curve or bell curve because of its flared shape. The normal curve tells us many important facts about test scores in the population, and the normal curve never changes. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you, everyone.